Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo. We got a big show on tap, including Jory Collins will join us, Bison women's basketball head coach as they get ready to go for a 17th straight win tonight. Hot Mic starts now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome to the almost weekend edition of Hot Mic on WDAY Extra. KSFL TV, good morning, everybody in Sioux Falls, KNBN in western South Dakota, and all parts in between on a chilly Thursday at Inforum.com. Welcome to the 29th day of January 2026. Ready to rock and roll? Guys, I'm getting two different things of audio in here. If we could fix that, that'd be great. Welcome to the show. We got a lot to get to here. Happy Thursday, everybody, as we're on the doorstep. Yeah, I'm still getting some music in my ears here, guys, if you could. Thanks. Got a lot to get to here on a busy Thursday, including, we mentioned, we got basketball tonight, big Summit League night. North Dakota State women are in action against Denver. We're going to preview that coming up later on in the show. Was some Summit League hoops last night. We'll get to that as well as the Bison women looking for 17 straight, sitting in first place. Bison men, as we mentioned, do not play until Saturday. They've got the University of South Dakota in action, and that game in Vermilion. The Jackrabbit men played last night. We'll get to that coming up a little bit. We'll also check in Alabama, in Mobile again. If you are on ESPN at all, or ESPN.com, let me rephrase that, at all this morning, you are seeing one Cole Payton's face splattered all over it, which is no surprise. I guess we shouldn't be for what the Bison have done in the Senior Bowl over the last 5-6 years. We'll show you what happened yesterday. Today is the final day of practices in Alabama with the game coming up on Saturday. We'll get to all that coming up as well later on in the show. Looking forward to that. It's been a couple of big days for the former Bison quarterback in anticipation of the Senior Bowl on Saturday, then the NFL Combine coming up in about a month's time as well from Indianapolis. We'll get to that in due time here in just a little bit. I am reminded here as well, and we're in the thick of it here with high school basketball, wrestling, hockey going on. It's a Thursday. There's all that. College hoops as well. College hockey, wrestling. That the Olympics begin a week from today. This time, 1 week from now, the U.S. women's hockey team will play its first game at the Olympics in Milan, and I'm in it because the Olympics are my jam. I get up for it every 2 years we have it, whether it's the summer or the winter. I'm not sure if that's a palpable excitement for it, knowing next week the Super Bowl is next week as well. We're in a bunch of other things. Maybe it's when a competition begins. I don't know. I'll be really intrigued to see what the interest level is, because the winter are not nearly as television friendly as the summer games. Even it sounds bass backwards to say that, but we looked just a couple years ago in Paris, the ratings were crazy with lots of events live. Now, Milan is 7 hours ahead of us. I'm assuming NBC is going to do its same strategy that worked in Paris, because the ratings were great for this time around. Now we're more stuck inside, so that would seem that we're more want to watch television, because for a good majority of the country is cold right now, but that doesn't necessarily translate. So I'm interested about that when we get closer to it. Now just a week out from the games getting started. We'll have our full Olympic fix over the next 2.5 weeks. Of course, the NHL season is stopping to send its players back for the first time, as we mentioned yesterday, since the Sochi games in Russia back in 2014. More on that as we get closer to it next week. All right, let's rock and roll with our show today. The Timberwolves were playing last night against the Dallas Mavericks. Back on the floor. They had not played here against Dallas in a bit. Dallas is without Anthony Davis. No Kyrie, of course. He got hurt at the end of last year. Mavericks team that is scuffling against a Wolves team that, frankly, has not been able to get out of its own way. They got a win on Monday night against a depleted Golden State team, and last night facing a depleted Mavericks team in a game that, frankly, got a lot closer down the stretch than maybe anybody was comfortable with. Early second quarter, Wolves in transition after a Dante DiVincenzo steal. Leave it to Naz Reid for a little alley-oop action and the throwdown to Beranger. Give them a 4-point lead. Now it's up to 8. Ant was back. Little fadeaway there. He's gotten so good at that. Puts it up to a 10-point game. Right before the half, another steal. There's Dante with the hammer. They had 11 steals in the first half. They had a 10-point lead. Move to the third quarter. You can't leave him open like that. He's going to drill the three. Wolves go up by 14 at that point. Little fadeaway from Julius Randle. Makes it a 15-point Minnesota lead. Randle for that same spot gets it up to 17. He had 31 last night. Naz Reid, little catch and shoot after the Mavericks got it down to 12. Naz 3 gets it back up to 15 at that point. Dallas made it a bit tighter than they wanted to. I don't know if they exerted enough energy to maybe worry about tonight because the Wolves have to play again as Ant hits a deep three there to put it back up to 16. Minnesota goes on and wins it 118-105 behind the 31 of Julius Randle to get a second consecutive win, get them to 10 games over 500 at 29-19 on the year. Naz goes for 23. Ant had 20 as the Wolves get the victory. Now as we are nearing February, now it's time to start paying attention each and every night to the standings, especially in the Western Conference. It's going to fluctuate every night. The Wolves play the Thunder tonight. The Spurs hold the second spot. Remember, Denver playing without Jokic. He's due back soon. Houston at 4, a half game ahead of both the Lakers and the Wolves. The Lakers lost last night to Cleveland. They have percentage points ahead of Minnesota, who moves out of the play-in. Now just a half game ahead of Phoenix. And you've got Golden State, Portland, and the Clippers rounding out the top 10 in the Western Conference. And again, as we mentioned, Wolves go right back onto the floor tonight with a game with OKC. Later start tonight. That's on Peacock at 8:30. We'll give you the details on that coming up on what to watch before we say goodbye this morning. So that was on the NBA front. Now, as we mentioned off the top, Summit League was busy as well last night. We had 2 women's games, 2 men's games last night. The one that caught our attention, Denver, Kansas City, we weren't paying attention to that. The one we are paying attention to was in Omaha between South Dakota State and the Mavericks. Now, they played earlier this season. Omaha got close to the Jackrabbits. SDSU ended up pulling away and got the win. Now, SDSU is yet to win a Summit League road game. That was the backstory for what was going on at Baxter Arena last night. And these two teams who have matched up in the past and played some good ones did again last night. Let's show you what went down in Omaha, where the Jacks are still trying to figure it out of what kind of team they are. They've got the pieces. Kalen Gary hits a big 3 to give them an early lead. We pick it up now in the second half. It's a 5-point Omaha lead. That Gary 3 cuts it. He was great last night. 5 3-pointers, cuts it to a 2-point game. It's a 1-point Omaha lead till Lance Waddles, the former Bison, cans a 3, puts them up by 4. 38-year-old Tony Osborne knocks down a triple. He was great. Every time Omaha needs a big basket, he delivers. Gary, we mentioned the amount of threes. There's another one, cuts it to a 3-point lead. It's now a 4-point Omaha lead. This is a nifty move on the baseline and the finish by Paul Jobert to give Omaha a 4-point advantage. It's 69-65 Mavericks. 3 minutes to go nifty pass down low. Cameron Thomas with the hammer. Puts Omaha up by 6. They would make their free throws down the stretch. And Omaha starting to maybe turn the corner of the reigning champs. They beat SDSU 80-71 the final last night to get them to 11-12 on the season and 4-4 in the Summit League. So that was the final last night. A couple other games we mentioned. The other game last night on the Summit was Denver and Kansas City. The Roos, we've already made it plain that they are moving on from Marvin Menzies as their head coach. Kansas City and Denver battled it out last night. Here are the up-to-date standings now in the conference as we get ready for games tonight. Remember, the Bison do not play tonight. North Dakota State will not play again till their game on Saturday evening, or late afternoon, early evening, 5 o'clock tip as they'll take on the University of South Dakota. So the Bison still hold first. St. Thomas plays tonight. We previewed that game yesterday with Paul Sather against UND. That is a big basketball game going on tonight down in the Twin Cities. St. Thomas, by the way, has the longest home win streak in the country. We mentioned that yesterday. They've won 28 consecutive basketball games at home. So we'll see what goes down tonight. Omaha now leaps up into the 4th spot. Keep an eye on that. Then South Dakota at 3-4. South Dakota State drops now to 3-4. Denver at 3-5. The Pios got the win 69-61 over Kansas City last night. The Roos fall to 1-7, and then Oral Roberts dragging up the rear. So that's where we're at on the men's side. Women's games last night. There were 2 games that went down last night in women's basketball. The South Dakota State women did what they did, won by 44 over Omaha, 85-41. And South Dakota bounced back after they lost to North Dakota State with a 12-point win over St. Thomas. So the women's standings heading into tonight. Remember, the Bison women play tonight their 8th league game, sitting at 7-0, a half game ahead of the Jackrabbits, who won yesterday. Now it's 7-1. Everything pointing to that game potentially in the end of February for the league championship. Then USD, ORU, Denver, Kansas City, St. Thomas, UND, and Omaha, who only has 2 wins, none of them against Division I competition. Tonight, ORU is up in Grand Forks to play UND. We'll see the Golden Eagles come to town Saturday to take on the Bison. So that's your update from action in the Summit League last night. Just a quick word on that men's game. The Omaha men have the pieces. They're maybe not as talented as they were last year. They still got a couple of really good players that they can cause some havoc here. They still have to come up here, play the Bison. Remember, NDSU won the game at the Horn against Omaha a few weeks ago. But now they got the split with SDSU. And the Jackrabbits, we talked about this when they played, and granted, they still get NDSU at their place coming up next month, have talent. Gary's a good player. I really like Joe Seiler. Jayden Jackson's a really good player. They've got guys. They just don't have the guy, as we've talked about over the last handful of years. You know, that they had Douglas Wilson. They had Baylor Shireman. They had Zeke Mayo. All those great players. They had Oscar Clough last year. They just don't have that horse right now. Those pieces are good. I just don't know if their upper echelon can win potentially 3 games in 3 days, because where they're at right now, they would have to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Summit League tournament. That will be intriguing to watch. We still got, I know, a month of games to go for how this could all pan out. Last thing before we set up our show, they weren't the only games last night. Minnesota and Wisconsin played last night at the Kohl Center in Madison. If you turn the game off at halftime, thinking, wow, the Gophers are cruising here, going to beat down Wisconsin on the road. Well, the second half then happened, because Minnesota took an 18-point lead into halftime. And remember, Nico Medved is doing this with basically 7 guys. They were Grayson Grove, the Alexandria kid, was playing last night, getting some big-time baskets. This game got wild. Remember, it was an 18-point Minnesota lead. Wisconsin got it down to 2. You see Isaac Azuma hits a 3. Another one there puts the Gophers back in front, 53-51. Wisconsin, though, kept on coming. They scored 50 points in the second half, folks, here. Down 2 with 6 minutes to go in the game. This is typical Wisconsin basketball there. Open 3 from Nick Boyd, who knocks it down. Wisconsin goes back in front. Now the Badgers are up 3. Minnesota responds. A straight-on 3 there is good, and the game tied up at 56. Bobby Durkin at 20 on 5 of 6 three-point shooting for the Gophers last night. Boyd leaves this. That's Nolan Winter. Knocks down a triple, makes it a 60-58 Wisconsin lead. Gophers have a chance to answer back. Straight on 3. That one good from Langston Reynolds, the Northern Colorado transfer. We saw him here last year against the Bison. Minnesota back up, won at 61-60. Now it's 62-61. Badgers, another dagger 3 there with 19 seconds to go from John Blackwell. That was a huge shot. He had 11 free throws as well. Ozma's 3 was off. The rebound putback was good, but a little too late as Wisconsin comes all the way back and beats Minnesota 67-63. The final they scored, as I mentioned, 50 points in the second half. They outscored Minnesota 50-28 in the second half to win that game. It is the 6th consecutive loss for Niko Medved's team. They played 7 guys last night. They are doing what they can with what they have available. Kate Tyson, their great scorer, the transfer from North Carolina, did not play last night. They fall to 10-11 on the year, 3-7 in the Big Ten. And Wisconsin pulls one out of the fire that, frankly, they had no business winning. They knock off the Gophers last night. We got a packed show coming up for you here today on our Thursday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. Coming up in just a few minutes, Hunter Pinke will join us at 9:35. We haven't chatted with Hunter in a couple weeks. Get his take on a couple things going on around the sports world. That's coming up at 9:35. Sam Goetzinger is back with us at 10 o'clock. We missed Sam last week. We'll chat with him about everything going on and what he's covering. Called a couple of hockey games, got a basketball action. It's a busy time. He's got wrestling coming up tomorrow night with Bison against Northern Colorado. We'll visit with Sam on a variety of things coming up at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Jory Collins joins us each and every Thursday. He will join us to get us ready for the Bison game tonight with Denver. Chat about this win streak and the more notoriety, more people coming to the building, all that sort of good stuff right now with the Bison women's basketball team. High times right now on the north side. That's coming up at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Thursday morning. We're just getting started. We'll take our first break. We come back. We'll check in Alabama. Former Bison quarterback Cole Payton has had a heck of a week so far. We'll show you a little bit of what he did yesterday. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody, on this Thursday morning. Again, a reminder, tonight we've got college basketball here on WDAY Extra. Denver, North Dakota State. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock from the Shields Center on the north side. Much more on the Bison women coming up later on in our show. All right, so we tease it off the top. Yesterday wrapped up the second day of practices at the Senior Bowl in Mobile, where the entire NFL basically is there right now, whether it's coach, GM is focusing on this game and the practices around it. The final day of practices is today. After this, and we've found this out now over the last 5-6 years, we've had players go down there. Everybody leaves. Like, the families stay for the actual football game on Saturday, but the decision makers, they are out of town after today, frankly. They want to see the individual work. They want to see the practices, and the game matters little. That's not my opinion on it. That is what I've been told and what we've been told here over the last handful of years. So we're keeping it more closer eye at practice, and it's been a little different this year because the Bison sent a quarterback down. Cole Payton back on the field. We mentioned it yesterday. First time that he has been throwing a football in 8 weeks. And frankly, through 2 days in Mobile, he has looked pretty darn good. This is what he did yesterday against his practices, which varied in different assignments that he was out there on the field. And from what the scouts said, and we'll get to that here in just a little bit, everything that he did yesterday continued to be impressive. He's going out there with two other quarterbacks, most notably Diego Pavia, the Heisman runner-up from Vanderbilt. Now, he had a couple of plays where one center quarterback miscommunication, ball was on the ground. It happens. You try not to make too much of it. But when he got back out there, I mean, here he is evading pressure, making a throw over the middle. What the scouts and GMs and coaches really like is the fact that he is taking snaps under center. Did that. Here, this ball on the outside, hit it, made a positive play up the field. That's what they are encouraged to see, a strong throw to the outside. Here again, this is more now team drills that are happening. This one, again, another strong throw there. Made it down the field. It's really hard for, again, to do commentary on practice plays, let alone it's not necessarily games. That's why I got to give a shout out to the NFL TV crew, NFL Network crew doing this, because it's really difficult. This was the play of the day. Doing tight end against linebacker. This catch is sensational by Texas A&M tight end. The throw was also pretty darn good. As you can see, Cole put it in the absolute perfect spot to wrap up the day. So when you go on ESPN.com, we can throw up the headline right now. You can see they've got a picture of Cole Payton, and with the headline, Best of Day 2 at the Senior Bowl, Cole Payton standing out among the quarterbacks. That is right now, if you go on ESPN's website, they've got a picture of Cole Payton, and that is the headline. Let me read a little bit of what Matt Miller and Jordan Reed have said about what Cole has done through the first 2 days. This is not me saying it, so for all you rubes out there thinking I'm just pumping the tires here, this is not me. Wednesday's best quarterback performance. The expectation on day 2 of the Senior Bowl is for quarterbacks to settle down and gain chemistry with wide receivers they've known for 48 hours. Cole Payton once again stood out from the competition on Wednesday after being highlighted by Jordan Reed as the top quarterback on Tuesday. Payton doesn't have the smoothest operation with a looping left-handed throwing motion, but he was the most consistently accurate quarterback of the 6 passers I saw. The 6'2", 229-pound Payton has a solid arm talent, but what impressed me was his ability to put the ball on his man despite not having fully developed the trust and feel with the wideouts he's working with. Payton remains a late-round prospect on my board, but he's trending up while standing out among a crowd of passers that were all ranked ahead of him when the week began. That's from Matt Miller, the NFL draft scout who works for ESPN. He took over the old Todd McShay role with and I assume he's going to be the guy when Mel Kiper eventually decides to be done. He's going to be the guy. So that's what Matt Miller wrote about Payton on Wednesday. Jordan Reed had this to say about Payton earlier in the week, who also works for ESPN.com. Tuesday's top performance belonged to Cole Payton. The lefty passer had 2 of the most impressive throws of the day, the best coming off a bootleg on a deep ball to Caleb Douglas. Having played an under center at North Dakota State, Payton looked comfortable taking snaps and making throws from multiple pre-snap platforms. Even though he has a bit of an elongated and loopy throwing motion, it didn't have a negative effect on his timing. Payton displayed his accuracy and mobility in multiple sessions. Payton suffered a broken thumb on his throwing hand during the Bison loss in the FCS playoffs. He showed no signs of that injury. He carries grades as early as round 4, as he's a big athlete that some teams have mentioned as a project worth selecting on day 3. So, again, that's not my words. Those are from the actual talent evaluators here. So he's got another day here to try and kill it and then see what the game holds. And this is just, we talk about this all the time when we get to this part of the year about the pre-draft process and checking boxes. This is a big one. Senior Bowl to have a good week. So far, so good. Got another one today, and then obviously the game, and then it's on to the Combine, which comes up in about a month in Indianapolis, and that's a big deal. And then Pro Day, which is going to probably be a lesser deal there, considering he'll have done 2 of the big items of the offseason, which is Senior Bowl and Combine. So I'll be intrigued to see what he does at Pro Day at the end of March. But that's that's a heck of a deal there for a guy that coming into this season, again, reiterate, we weren't sure how well he could throw it, how well he could get it down the field. He exceeded all of our expectations and then some. And I know for a lot that they're still sore of how the season ended, how Cole particularly played in the loss to Illinois State and obviously got hurt as a byproduct of that as well. But now it's on to the next chapter, and, man, he's killing it down there. And I believe hopefully we're going to have a chance to visit with him once the Senior Bowl wraps up. We were trading some text messages late last week. That is the anticipation on that. So good stuff out of what's going on down in Mobile. A couple other guys that have stood out as well. Guy that Cole has been throwing to, Tyron Montgomery, wide receiver out of John Carroll, which is a D3 school. Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker of Texas Tech, has been really good. That might be a guy that's aiming for the practice player of the week. For those that are clued in on this and are paying attention like I am, that's what's been the highlight part so far of the first 2 days down in Mobile. And for wondering, I did get an email on it. Can you watch the game? Yes. The game is on NFL Network Saturday at 1:30 to wrap up the week down there. So we'll see what happens, but so far so good for the former Bison quarterback as trying to keep a trend going of guys that have gone down there and only improved their draft status. You know, Carson Wentz was in the same boat 10 years ago. Carson was being discussed at the end of the first round, and before you knew it, after Mobile, he was middle to late first round, let alone going all the way up to the number 2 overall pick. Cody Mauch went down there a handful of years ago, elevated himself to the top of the second round. We've talked plenty of what Gray Zabel did last year as the top practice player and ends up becoming a first-round draft pick. That's what this week can do, and certainly seems like Cole has bolstered his stock through the first 2 days in Alabama. Good stuff. We'll recap tomorrow, recap today, tomorrow on the show. Let's break. We come back. We'll get a visit with Hunter Pinke. Check on with Hunter about everything going on in the sports world, what he's been up to as well. That's coming up when we roll on here on a Thursday morning edition of Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Hot Mic off and rolling here on this Thursday morning. Bison women's basketball coach Jory Collins will join us in about an hour. Chat about NDSU's game tonight with Denver. We'll preview that coming up in about an hour's time. But it's time for us to check back in with our guy Hunter Pinke. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. On the road again, getting ready for another speaking engagement. We're just visiting off air. Where are you off to today?
Headed down to Sioux Falls today, Dom. So going to talk with some contractors in the commercial construction industry today. And then I got to get back because my sister's got a basketball game at 7:30 tonight. So it's going to be a lot of driving, but we'll make it work.
What's the matchup tonight?
We got Drayton Valley Edinburgh versus Hatton Northwood.
Okay.
And some Class B girls basketball.
No love lost between those two. It's good to see you. We haven't chatted a little bit. I want to start with a couple things here. We've got the Super Bowl matchup is set. I know you tweeted about it. Everyone, we talked about it on the show Monday. For Viking fans here that are headed to swallow this for the next 10 days, I'm a Jet fan. I've watched Sam Darnold for 4 years with New York, and he couldn't figure it out. I couldn't be happier for him that it has worked out because the Jets almost ruined him. How do Viking fans it's really interesting how they feel about this heading into the game in 10 days' time in San Francisco, how this is going to go.
You know, I think I probably speak on behalf of most Vikings fans. I'm a younger Vikings fan, so I haven't gone through the decades of pain that a lot of my peers and older people have. But I feel like I'm kind of used to this at this point. And as a Jet fan, you get it too. It's just like, yeah, there goes another opportunity. Looking back on it now, hindsight's 2020. The guy went 14-3. Yeah. Threw for 30-plus touchdowns, and we just let him walk. I get why they did it in the moment because they got a first-round quarterback waiting in the wings. It's a little bit like the Packers situation with Rodgers and Jordan Love. But it stings a little bit more knowing how good the Vikings defense was. Yes. And how good the roster is around them. It's just like, man, we were one piece away, really. We went 9-8 with pretty subpar quarterback play.
Really
a lot of people would
subpar.
actually say below
Yes,
average. So
I would too.
That's probably the hardest thing is like, man, we were really one piece away, and that one piece is now going to go and try and win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's going to be really hard still to wrap your mind around. Everything goes back to that last game of the regular season. The playoff game against the Rams, I'll throw out because the offensive line was really bad. But it was the game against the Lions, Hunter. I thought that Sam didn't play well. And if he plays well, we're having a whole different conversation right now because if they win that game, they're the number 1 seed. They're hosting, and history's different if they win that game and he plays well.
It's absolutely true. So one game kind of changes the trajectory, man. If Favre doesn't throw the interception in New Orleans, we're talking probably about a different thing too. So one play, one game, and that's sports.
Will you cheer for him if on next Sunday or no?
Oof. Boy, that's tough. The Seahawks I'm not a fan of, but I'm really not a fan of the Patriots. So I'll probably have to cheer for Darnold.
It's the lesser of two evils that's going down
Exactly.
in the game coming up a week from Sunday. You sent me a photo here. You were on the road in Arizona, which was like the confluence of everything happening for at least for UND. The UND hockey team was out there against Arizona State last weekend, which was, perfect timing. It was -30 here to have a bunch of people from Grand Forks and North Dakota go watch some hockey in Arizona.
Yeah, I tell you what, the Allegiant flights down to Arizona were pretty full last week. I take those flights quite often, but it was an awesome week to get down. Like you said, we missed out probably on the worst week of weather of the year and got to go down to 70 degrees. UND sweep over ASU, which was tons of fun. And then, I got to go down to the University of Arizona. For those that don't know, I got to play wheelchair basketball there for 3 years. And so I've got lots of close relationships down in Tucson. So got to go to the game and watch Trayson Eaglestaff play against the number 1 team in the country. So Trayson is at West Virginia. And I saw that come out on the schedule months ago. And I asked my grandpa, hey, let's make this happen. I mean, not often do we get to see a North Dakota guy go down and play against the number 1 team in the country. He scored double figures. And so it was actually a perfect storm with Trayson having a nice game and my Wildcats winning. So it was good.
How good to see that. I've watched them play on TV a couple times, Arizona that is, up close. How good is this team? Can anybody touch them this year?
Boy, I think they can. The top 5 right now are separating themselves in college basketball. When you look at Arizona, Michigan, Nebraska is up there, which is kind of fun. They're kind of a new team. Hoiberg's got them playing really, really well. And then Duke, I think, is the Boozer kid is really special.
Yeah. Watching Trayson go, and the last time we saw him play, he scored 50 points against South Dakota State at the Summit League tournament last March. How did that transition look for him when you got to see him up close at West Virginia? Oh, connection froze there for a second. Hopefully we get it back. Such is life. Working with Zoom. All right, hopefully we get Hunter back here in a second. Yeah, looks like his connection froze on us here. Just a quick update, speaking off of that, of the game that Hunter was at. Arizona beat West Virginia. West Virginia's not having a bad year. They were 13-6. 88-53 was the final. Eaglestaff in that game played 30 minutes, was 4 of 8 from the field, scored 10 points, and had a rebound. We have actually, this is a good segue here to catch up on the former Bismarck Demon standout, Mr. Basketball, who transferred to spend his final season of play in the Big 12, currently averaging 10 points, 5 rebounds, and a couple assists, shooting 42% from the floor. There we go. We got him back here. I love the connections we have sometimes, and especially in rural South Dakota. I was asking you just about how you saw Trayson acquit himself in that game against the top team in the country.
Yeah, it was interesting. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but it was interesting. We got to talk to Trayson after the game, and I said, so what was it like playing, in McHale Center and against the number 1 team? And he said, man, they are so strong. And that was the thing that he said was just they're so strong and so physical. And that's what separates them. And if you look at the rebounding stats, Arizona is probably the top rebounding team in the country. And so that's probably the big difference, he said, was just how big and physical they were.
I got to ask you, we had Coach Paul Sather on the show yesterday. UND's men's basketball team was picked 8th in the preseason Summit League poll. They're currently like half a game out of second. My question, not necessarily basketball related, for a former athlete like yourself, do you guys pay attention to those preseason stuff? Like, nobody believes in us. Do you look at that, or is that something you don't pay attention to?
You don't look at it, but you see it.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone's looking and waiting for the preseason rankings to come out. I don't think we care that much, but no doubt you're going to see it. And I think you can use it. You definitely can use it as some little chip on the shoulder, so to say. And I think for that team especially, they got a bunch of guys that are kind of, maybe straggler's not the right word, but, man, nobody believed in him. Kid from Devil's Lake that had no D1 offers, goes to Mary, comes. Grayson Ullman, I mean, what a story he is. And so I think they've got a bunch of kind of a Eric Schmidt term, JYDs, a bunch of junkyard dogs that are kind of just finding their role and really playing really hard defensively. Man, you want to look at one stat. They're causing the most turnovers in the Summit and leading the conference in steals. The team can play some defense and plays really hard.
I got to ask you about last time you were on, we were talking about Danny Freund coming back, and our guy Tom Miller had the story in the Herald earlier this week that they bumped the offensive coordinator salary from the last time he was there $20,000, which is again a commitment from UND, Hunter, that they got to be competitive with salary. They're going to pay their coaches more. That if they want to be at the top of the Missouri Valley in the conversation, they got to go and do that. That's I don't know how many people realize that, how big a deal that is. It's not on the field, but it affects on the field performance.
It does. You got to get the right people in place. And, $20,000, that's a 20% increase.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the number was 125 total. So that's a big deal. I mean, anyone would be pretty happy with a 20% increase raise. So I think it's important. I think, Danny, it was important to get that fit back and have some camaraderie with a really young quarterback that, let's bring in the guy that recruited him, got, over a decade of experience. It was a necessity, and really we're starting to see it. Look at NDSU, and I know that you just had Matt Larson on either early this week, last week, talking, the deal's not signed yet, but that deal is going to shift the salaries as well in the Missouri Valley. We're going to see everyone kind of trying to play catch up because it's important to have the right people in place.
I was mentioning this earlier this week with the amount of quarterbacks are going to be back in the league next year. Jerry Kaminsky's going to be one. Brungard's going to be back at Youngstown State. DJ Williams at SIU. Obviously, Chase Mason back at South Dakota State. What does that do for a team that, knowing you've got a guy that's played a lot of snaps, how much does that help in the offseason, Hunter, when your starting quarterback is back?
It's massive. It's massive. It's like bringing back your starting point guard, but probably more important because all the work that goes in outside of your spring practices and outside of fall camp, really from like April 1st until August 1st. I mean, there's 4 months there, and what's happening? Yeah. And the quarterback really leads the way in the off-season workouts. That's where you build camaraderie. That's where you really connect with guys. When you're the only ones on campus and, you're going out at 6 a.m. to work and throw balls, the Missouri Valley quarterback class next year is going to be really fun to watch. If you're not optimistic about Youngstown State with Brumgard coming back, he could have gone anywhere, and he decided to stay. It's kind of refreshing to see guys that stay and had the opportunities.
Let me ask you, getting ready for spring football, because I've been hearing this and we're talking about the calendar and trying to fix it and move things around. How would you feel, because you guys always did it in February, if I remember right, correct me if I'm wrong, if it was February and March, if they moved it to more of an NFL style, like you had it in June, like OTAs, and then had practices then, would that be better on the calendar considering where we're at right now with the portal and where things are at?
I think so. I think it's only a matter of time before collective bargaining comes and we see contracts at the college level. once that happens, why not? I mean, it really is. The thing too that I think, modeling it after the NFL. Yes, I think that's a good idea. But the NFL has used college athletics as really a training ground.
Yes.
And what are they reimbursing these colleges for? Like, let's just use NDSU as an example. They developed Gray Zabel into the type of player he is. He's going to be an all-rookie offensive lineman. NDSU doesn't get anything back from the Seahawks.
No.
And so I think there needs to be something in the NFL working with NCAA, because really what it is it's a development league for the NFL at this point. And so, yeah, I think modeling it after the NFL and creating a similar structure is a good idea. But with that, I think there needs to be some kickback. It's going to be hard because the NFL is not going to want to do it.
No, they're going to like any part of that.
But there needs to be some kickback because these especially the FCS schools are getting kind of gypped out of a lot of resources, and they're developing these guys, and then, see you later.
No doubt about it. It's great to see you. Safe travels today. Good luck, and we'll talk with you soon, okay? Thanks for the time.
All right. Thanks, Dom. Have a good day.
Good to see you. There he goes. Hunter Pinke joins us on Thursdays. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Good stuff there with the former UND and South Prairie standout. All right, we'll break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour on tap. A couple of emails I want to get to as well as our Thursday morning show rolls on. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this. All right, wrapping up our first hour here. Our thanks to Hunter Pinke for giving us a few minutes. Good stuff as always. So we teased this for the news this morning, and shout out to our first news crew for always teasing Hot Mike. We appreciate that. Any sort of promotion we can get, we'll take it. About the NBA trade deadline, and the Wolves are a week out here. It's a week from today. And there may be something to that, question mark. Brian Windhorst, great ESPN NBA insider. The Timberwolves are on Giannis Antetokounmpo's list of preferred trade destinations. Windhorst says, this is something, from what I understand, Giannis has interest in. Minnesota can potentially build a trade package for the Bucks around Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels. I do not like that one iota. Antetokounmpo is great. I don't like giving up on Jaden McDaniels one bit. And Randle's been great. Honestly, the Wolves have made out like bandits with that trade for Karl Anthony Towns, which nobody liked. It was almost as universally disliked as the Rudy Gobert trade was when it went down a few summers ago. And how's that worked out for the Timberwolves? They won that deal. But now, as ESPN reported, Milwaukee is beginning to listen to offers for Giannis, who, of course, is hurt right now as well. But they have a week to do something here. ESPN lists the 11 teams with the most to offer. They have the Hawks on there, the Pistons, Golden State, the Rockets, the Heat, and there are the Wolves. It says deal difficulty is 8 out of 10. Minnesota has no first-round picks available and is walking a financial tightrope. Landing Antetokounmpo could require some deadline maneuvering from President Tim Connelly. He's been known to do that before. While the Wolves have players who can accelerate a rebuild in Milwaukee in Julius Randle, Naz Reid, and Jaden McDaniels, they have no first-round picks to send in a deal. One, because they send their first-round picks are to Utah still in the Rudy trade. One option for the front office could be to reroute players to a third team for a future first-rounder that goes to Milwaukee. Making any trade consideration more difficult, the Timberwolves are not allowed to take back more salary than they receive in a trade. It gets really into the weeds after that, but just know that the Wolves they got to do something. I think this team is on the threshold of, can they be a Western Conference finalist again? I don't know with this group. They need another guard. They need another big man. But throwing Giannis into the mix completely blows up the makeup of that team to the point where, I don't know what they even look like after that. So that's one of the hot rumors out there right now with a week to go before the NBA trade deadline. You're going to see all sorts of things thrown at the wall between now and next Thursday. Now official, by the way, breaking uniform news for the Super Bowl. ESPN reporting here, Mike Reese, who's the Patriots reporter. The Patriots will wear their white jersey, white pants combination in Super Bowl 60. They had the choice as the home team. So they wore that on Sunday to beat Denver. I think that's been their traditional road look this season. I'm just saying, and we'll probably bring this up in the second hour. They are the NFL, and I had this tweeted at me, and I appreciate everybody understanding the bit, that they understand where I'm at with it, that they had the best chance in the world to do this, that they could have done these helmets right here, Pat the Patriot. They could have worn these with the red tops and the white pants like they wore in the Super Bowl in 40 years ago when they lost to the Bears, with Tony Eason and Steve Grogan getting their brains beat in by the 46 defense of the Bears. And the Seahawks wear the Steve Largent blue uniforms that are fantastic with Dave Craig, and I'm trying to think of Kurt Warner, not the Kurt Warner quarterback, Kurt Warner running back out of Penn State, Blair Thomas, those uniforms, that they could have done that in the Super Bowl, and that would have been tremendous. Instead, we're going to go down that road, which is not the end of the world, but it is what it is. But there you have it there. Also, one other Twins note, because we're closing in. We had the Winter Caravan here last week, and we are, I think, 2 weeks away from pitchers and catchers going. Twins made a trade yesterday for a guy that nobody knows of. It was I read the release. I'm like, first off, I don't know this guy. Now, granted, I don't know every baseball player, but I'd like to think I'm clued in on most of them. Jace Kaminska, who right-hander from the Colorado Rockies, who missed the entire 2025 season with Tommy John surgery. Prior to that, he made 17 appearances for Low-A Fresno in 2024. He's a minor leaguer. What's more important is who's leaving. Pearson Ole is a guy who started a handful of games last year once the Twins gutted the roster. He pitched, I want to say 10 games last year. More importantly, Eddie Julien is moving on. They just could never figure out with Julien, he was great in the World Baseball Classic. Remember that? And then came up and, was it 2024? 24, Julien was really good. He ends his career with the Twins, 232, 35 doubles, 27 home runs, 70 RBIs, 109 runs scored, 119 walks. He was an 18th round pick of the Twins in the 2019 draft out of Auburn. And remember, they had Julien playing first base. He could not play the field. They couldn't play second base. That wasn't going to work. And with what the Twins' constraints are, frankly, on who they can use, Julien was expendable. So he and Pearson Ole are out of there, and Jace Kaminska, another minor leaguer that we'll probably see sometime in July, is coming to Minnesota. All right, we'll break. We come back. We'll start our second hour. Sam Goetzinger is on deck. We'll chat with Sam about whatever we want to hit to. That's coming up on the other side of the break. Hour 2 of a Thursday morning edition of Hot Mike starts after this.
This is Hot Mike. Hot Mike. On the networks of WDAY. WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo.
Let's take a moment and talk about bunions. The original line read as this: bunions. You may have heard of them. That was my original line.
Hey, thank you, Dom. Johnny Cool Guys there with the sunglasses on.
That was off the dome to
the west of
when
Illinois.
I'm looking on it, like west. I shouldn't say right and left. Is that Missouri?
That is Missouri.
Yes.
That is
it's underneath
Missouri.
Iowa.
Oh,
I'm getting good at this.
he's coming.
So we're going to like the bottom peninsula region.
Peninsula.
Okay, we're going to come back on the ETSU tailgate and then go to you. How am I going to go from a tailgate to bunions? Okay, good deal. Let's take a moment and talk about bunions.
All right, here he is. We haven't seen him in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I know. I appreciate you didn't get upset that you got bumped last week.
No, that's okay. There was much better information provided than what I could have gave.
That. But appreciate you coming by. It's good to see you.
Absolutely.
Ready for you got a busy stretch here. So you had hockey on Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. How'd that go?
It was good. Red River, as expected, one of the top teams in the state. They put the beat down on them on Tuesday. They were playing Fargo Davies on the main sheet of ice, and they looked really good.
So we are officially 3 weeks out from the start of crazy season here.
Yeah, can you believe that?
The state wrestling
Is it
tournament
3 weeks?
3 weeks from today.
Man,
that gets going.
That's coming
on
around
our networks.
quick.
And then it's on to hockey, which you'll be calling hockey for the 4th straight year. I know you got to be really excited about that.
Yeah, 4 years already now, too, for that? Wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
What do you make of that?
That's crazy, yeah. It's been fun.
Right? 2023 was your first one, correct?
This will be the second time at the Shields Arena.
So this is 4, man.
This is 4.
So that's what happens after 3.
I'm glad you have a better understanding of my timeline than I do.
But this year is back at Shields Arena, like you mentioned. Have we have any surprises that could make it, or is it going to be the same old?
Well, I will say once we get deeper into things, Grand Forks Central and Grand Forks Red River, no surprise, they look like the real deal, both of them.
Yeah.
We saw Central when they took on Moorhead in that crazy game, and the skill that they displayed was, okay, these guys are primed to make another crack at it, and they're returning a lot of guys. Red River is got a lot of new faces as their forwards, but even watching them on Tuesday, it's, oh, wow, these guys are pretty good too. I think besides that, like West Fargo Cheyenne is third in the EDC right now, and they've been on a tear. They got some really good players over there, led by Bennett Benson, Dave Benson's son, and he's been really fun to watch. So Cheyenne, I'd put them in the mix as well.
How about at West? We got any contenders out West?
Minot United now. United. They're up there at the top. I think Bismarck Legacy's having a pretty solid season. Mandan's in the mix there as well. I'll be curious to see how that shapes up. It's a little closer out west compared to the east, in my opinion, but I think Minot United, who's been on a tear the last couple of seasons, and they've made it to the semifinal round, especially last year. They looked really good. They've lost a couple guys, but that's not a bad team over there.
All right, so it's so it begins.
Yeah,
we had a thriller on Tuesday night with Cheyenne girls beating Horace in overtime, which I'm intrigued to see the 4 teams out of the East on the girls' side that are going to make. We know Horace is going to be there. The Davies girls are really good.
Yep.
I thought Shanley was a lock considering what they had back.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent back.
But I don't know if anybody had the Cheyenne girls as maybe the 4th, and they're right now sitting in 2nd in the EDC.
Look pretty good. I watched a little bit of that game before our hockey game, and I was like, these guys are hanging
Zoe
with
Keene's
them here
really,
a little bit.
really good.
Zoe's
Zoe's
really
an outstanding golfer. She's a state champion there. She's going to go play basketball at Concordia as well. So
I think Cheyenne on the boys' side is really doing some things as well. They're making waves in the AA. So that's a team to watch moving forward. West Fargo on the boys' side as well is looking really good. Davies and Horace, I think those 4 are deep in contention for moving on the boys' side. But I would agree with you. Horace and Davies for sure are 2 top contenders as we go through on the girls' side.
So I wanted to tap into your tremendous high school football knowledge because NDSU offered a few local guys over the weekend, 2 Horace guys as well. Aiden Green and Brett Livingston, both from Horace, who were part of their state championship team in 2024. And obviously they had a dynamite first year in AAA football in 2025. What do we make of them as potential college prospects?
I had a feeling it was only a matter of time before more colleges got over to Horace because they got something special going on over there, and those guys were a big part of it. If I remember correctly, Aiden Green was out for their final game against Legacy when they hosted that playoff game, and it was a wild one on a cold day, and it didn't shake out their way. But I caught him in the regular season. He's a pretty good wide receiver. Good basketball player as well, multi-sport athlete.
I was told he's taller than people think. He might be cracking the 6 foot there.
I think so. Yeah. I think he's 6 foot, maybe 6'1" or something like that. Yeah, but he's a really talented wide receiver. He was able to pick up yards whenever they needed to. And Brett Livingston is he's a big guy.
He's all of 6'5".
Yeah, if that. They got him listed on the basketball rosters as 6'6", if that means anything. But no, he's impressive. I saw him almost leap over a couple of guys to make catches, which was really impressive.
Okay.
And he's a good basketball player as well. All those guys are playing basketball at Horace and doing really well. Only a matter of time before the mid-major FCS teams were coming over to Horace.
Another guy you saw play, Minot North, Ethan Howie got offered over the weekend by NDSU as well. That's his first Division I offer, who was part of that dynamite Minot North team that made it all the way to the state championship.
That defensive line they had at Minot North was really impressive.
Good.
Not just him, but they had some other guys in there as well. Their names are escaping me as of right now. But Minot North and Ethan Howie, I like that. It seems like they were pretty high on him, watching him progress, and he had a pretty solid game in the Dakota Bowl too, as they settled in a little bit more. So that should be a good addition if they're able to land him.
What do we make of Jet Feeney's offer from the University of Minnesota in your mind?
That's pretty impressive.
There's no doubt about that.
I'm not surprised. I mean, the way that he played in the state championship game,
he was great.
He's going to get those, Big Ten offers, if you will. And if I were PJ Fleck, try to get one of the top guys in your backyard, and we'll see if he decides to go that route. I think he could play down a couple years down the road. They like who they got right now, but I think he could play down there if he decides to go.
The intriguing part is if it's tied to the other guys as well.
That is true.
Like if PJ Fleck saying, hey, well, we really want David Mack. Well, let's get the guy who throws in the ball or the guy we hand the ball off to.
Tay Rich as well.
Because all three of them are high level prospects in the state of Minnesota.
Absolutely. If I were the Gophers, PJ Fleck, I'd be trying to get all three of them, which I'm sure a lot of teams are. A lot of teams are, and they still got another year to go at it. But no, it's impressive. Congrats to Mr. Feeney over there. He was really fun to watch down the stretch. Really fun to watch since he got healthy.
I will say this, and you cover high school football more than I do, so you know this better than I. But there's an outstanding chance all these 27 guys that none of them stay around here, that all of them are that good that, and that's no slight to NDSU or UND or South Dakota State, but they are all being tantalized here with Power 4 offers right now.
Yeah, it's hard to turn down, that's for sure. And it's not just the guys in Moorhead, it's the guys in Kindred as well, people from all across the state.
Kessel at South.
Yeah, the 2027 class in all sports is really, really good. Horace Borkard signed to Oregon to play baseball. And the South's got another kid from 2027 I think is potentially going to go off and do big things at a power conference as well. This class coming up in our region is really, really impressive. And how do you turn down? How do you turn down those big schools?
You can't. That's the thing I've been hammering on this over the last little bit on to understand, because I thought we were going to have this happen in March and April. The Bison already got their first 27 commit over the weekend, so maybe this timeline is all moved up. I don't know. I mean, schools aren't going to wait around. That's the thing, I think, for people that don't follow this closely, that if you're saying, well, I need some more time, then the top schools, you're like, okay, we're on to the next guy.
Right.
You know what?
Absolutely.
We need an answer now. And that's not necessarily fair to the kids, but that's
the
the
reality
way this works,
of where it's
man.
at right now. And especially a lot of these power conferences, they're not going after high school kids like they used to.
That's also true.
They're getting their pickings from the transfer portal, and then they'll jump down to the high school level after that. I'll be curious if Jet gets more after the Gophers have come through.
I think this is only the start of it.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if
Northwestern
gets involved. I know he's visited there. That would be another
Wisconsin
spot,
maybe.
The thing to me on this, and I'll rephrase a little bit. They will wait depending on how good you are.
Right.
You know, if you're elite 5-star, like, hey,
that's
you
true.
take your time. We're here. But if you're 3-star, 3.5-star, they're like, we're on to the next.
Yep.
And that's just the name of the game in that world of football.
Reality, it's hard coming up as a high school athlete, especially if you have dreams of making it to that power conference level.
And that's why if you're a North Dakota State, North Dakota, South Dakota State, South Dakota, that if you have some inroads early, that can potentially pay off. Maybe not right away, but if it doesn't work, then you're sitting there, hey, our relationship is still really good
it's
from when we recruited you before. Would you consider coming back?
Yeah.
And that may be the case.
Yeah.
You never know.
It's worked out in the past for these teams as well.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the next little bit plays out, because I said it earlier, in my 20 years of being here, this is the best crop of high school football. And you're right, all sports included.
Yeah, it's really good.
This class of 2027 is
basketball's
dynamite,
look really
You're right,
good.
basketball's
If
really
you want to
good.
go to hockey as well, I mean, hockey is a completely different world
Recruiting world
because
is
people
really
are
different.
going to
Yep.
juniors and
Correct.
off to other private schools and what have you. But the classes coming up, the juniors, sophomore, seniors coming up right now are really good. Baseball looked really impressive when I saw them last season. Those guys that are in the class of 2027. It's been a fun group to watch, and it just keeps on coming, and it's getting attention from across the country.
Yeah. I mean, North Dakota is not a spot you skip over anymore for recruiting-wise for any sport, whether it be basketball or football or baseball now. Wrestling certainly has been in the mix as well. It's
been some good wrestlers around the area as well.
All right, let's break. We come back. We'll chat some hoops with Sam. We got Bison women tonight. The men play Saturday for the Summit League leaders who have yet to lose a game in conference play. We'll do that on the other side of the break. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Jory Collins is going to join us here in about 15 minutes. I have an email that was sent into the show a couple weeks ago. Yeah, and we read it, and I want to, for our viewers that don't watch every day, or certainly watch every Thursday, to remind them. And the email was talking about when Bison, we're talking about Bison crowds and people coming to the games. And the email goes, Dom, what does Sam use his notepad for while doing the sideline reporting? Ask him if I can stop by on Saturday to play a game of tic-tac-toe. You remember this email?
I do.
Guys, we turned Sam's mic on. Sorry.
Check. Mic
check. There we go.
There it is.
Thanks.
I do remember this email. Yep.
So that was from, I'm going to out him because he gave his name. His name is Tony that emailed this. And this is the last Bison
last time they were
men's
at home.
basketball homestand, correct?
Yep.
So our cameras were on you getting ready for the game.
Did we get this on video?
So we caught Tony. Came up to me and actually gave me a can of Skyline chili first off.
Oh, there you go.
We've had that discussion many a time, and I have not tried it yet. Tony, I will. But he also had a clipboard with him. And on said clipboard, go ahead and roll it, guys, that this is a conversation before we're getting ready to go, that he challenged you to tic-tac-toe?
He did. Well, one, the clipboard was a welcome surprise. I didn't think he was going to gift that to me, but he did, and that was massive for that game, I will say. Three games of tic-tac-toe on there. You guys are yelling at me, come on, we got to go record a thing, and I'm busy. I got to do this real quick.
Who won?
Well, I will say, I was super nervous about this. I haven't played tic-tac-toe
Look at you guys going at it here. This is
You can see the gears turning in my mind. I haven't played tic-tac-toe in what feels like 15 years, so I didn't know. I didn't want to look dumb. We scratched all three games. We did a best of three. I don't think I've played a tic-tac-toe game where I haven't
There we
scratched.
go. They're going to start all over again.
Yep. So nothing came out. There was no bragging rights that were given out, but big thank you to Tony. That was fun. That was awesome.
So,
we took some pictures as well, and I got a clipboard out of it, which I've been given a clipboard, an ice scraper. You guys were too generous around here.
Well, they watched the show, so they know.
Too generous.
That's so you got to keep the clipboard.
It's in my backpack.
That's
and
have you used it?
It is utilized every basketball game moving forward until I lose
Well,
it.
thanks to Tony for helping out there.
My last clipboard is somewhere in Charleston, sitting on a trainer's bench in the rain.
Did not make it back from South Carolina.
Still
huh?
wet. Yep. Yeah. That one's long ago. But that was fun. That was awesome.
Also, shout out to our guy Justin Hawley who recorded that because I got right on the talk back. I'm like, get this on right
I didn't
now.
know you guys were filming that. I thought it was just hiding off in my own little corner. That was good. That was fun. It was fun.
Well, I think they had the camera on you because we wanted to do the open, right?
And then they just followed me back to my bench over there.
Well, I mentioned too because Tony said I was gonna. Hey, can I go talk to Sam? I'm like, yeah, we got about 5 minutes before we're ready to go.
I'm glad he went through my people to get to me first. That's always good.
So there you have it. You'll be using the clipboard tonight, then, right?
Be. Yeah, it'll be in action.
So we got Bison women coming up tonight against Denver, then Saturday against Oral Roberts, winners of 16 in a row, currently 7-0 on top of the league.
Pretty good.
Man, things are humming for both basketball teams right now.
Yeah, I saw they just tweeted out there's 4 teams in the country, for the men and the women, that are combined unbeaten 15-0 or better in NCAA basketball. It's them, UConn, Duke, and Miami, Ohio. So that's
and the Bison are part of that.
And the Bison are part of that. Yeah, it's pretty good company to be in. Miami, Ohio, on the boys' side or the men's side is looking pretty good too.
Right now. I'm intrigued here to see what the crowd is tonight. You know, they had a great crowd on Saturday. I know McFeely wrote about it. We talked about it earlier in the week. They had over 2,000. I think there'll be a really good crowd Saturday because it's Alumni Day, and the Bison women's basketball alumni are tremendous to come back and support, especially this year's team. But tonight's a Thursday. It's Denver. Denver's done with the league.
They're giving out those jerseys.
They are
again.
doing that tonight.
And that worked really well the first time.
It did for the
and
men's
now it's
game.
open to everybody. It's not just open to the students.
Yeah.
It's open to everybody.
So that might.
So we'll see if that brings some people
tonight's
along.
the true test for me. If they're able to do that again and get this kind of crowd on a Thursday, then people are suddenly woken up and say, hey, the Bison women are good, and it's time to follow this team for the month of February and beyond.
And I will be curious because Denver, this isn't one of the league leaders that's coming in. So if they can draw this kind of crowd with a team like Denver coming in, no knock on Denver. I'm sure they're going to put up quite the fight tonight, but it's not like SDSU or South Dakota.
Or UND still. I mean, we were talking about that with Jory, and we'll bring this up coming up here in a few minutes. The Bison still have SDSU and UND to play at home in February.
Yeah, those are going to be rocking.
They should have 4,000 people there.
Easy. Should. I hope so. That would be quite the crowd.
You would think so.
It was really cool to see what they got this past week against South Dakota. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, last year for the WNIT run, which got bigger every game. Like it started with New Mexico State, then Washington State was great. The Troy game was fantastic. There's no reason why now they've won. I mean, what else you want? You want a team that wins? They've won 16 in a row here. They already beat South Dakota State.
Go out and watch them. Go and support them. And we've seen it. It can change a game, especially when you get a rowdy student section.
Loud in there.
It can change a game momentum-wise, and we've seen the men play off of that really well. Let's see the women do it.
Speaking of the men, they have just the one game at South Dakota after they took care of business last week and did what they needed to do for their the game with Denver. Man, I don't know how much you followed that, but I mean they got up by 13. Then Denver goes on an 18-0 run.
Start second half, they looked really good, really good.
Right, they're all out of sorts, and then the Bison come back and make a couple winning plays.
And it was Andy Stefanowicz who made the big time bucket with 30 seconds left, which was pretty cool. And Denver, Don't lose track of Denver just yet. I think they're a pretty sneaky, okay team offensively for
Certainly
sure.
offensively
for sure. They can hold their own, but that was a good win. And then what they did at ORU was impressive too.
I know you visited with Tay Smith, and give us a little backstory on Tay's journey here. I mean, he's played every level of basketball. NAIA D2 to here now.
He started at Brescia University, which I had to Google multiple times to figure out how to say, but I believe it's Brescia University, and then went on to Lenore Rhine and really put together a good run, brought them to the Division II Elite Eight, which is not easy to do. And then I was talking with Joshua Jones, the assistant coach, and I asked him, like, how'd you get into the recruiting process with him? And he said, well, it was easy. Just open the tape. You can see that he can go off for, he told me 6. He didn't tell me 8 like he did against ORU. He can go off for however many threes a night, which he's been doing lately, which has been really impressive. He's really athletic. He's a solid defender as well. And it was a no-brainer to get him up here to NDSU. And he's been playing it was kind of a slow start for him, shooting the ball in the first early going into the season.
And they had him starting as well, and then Dave tinkered the lineup and got him off the bench, and that seemed to really be granted, he started the game on Saturday since Damari was hurt, but coming off the bench seems to have been his real sweet spot.
Yeah, he's really been playing well, and I asked him about it, and he said his confidence has grown each level of the way, and he actually didn't even know he was going to be able to play college basketball anymore after last season, but then after some rulings, he was able to get an extra year of eligibility, so his college basketball career was revived, which was a win for NDSU.
I mean, right now, the latest bracketology has them playing Kansas
at 13,
in Philadelphia.
Right? 13, see, that's not just sneaking in. That's pretty impressive. Kansas, I've watched a couple Kansas games this year. They look all right. Yeah, they're not bad. It's Kansas, pretty good.
Just, again, if you're not, and I get football's a thing around here, but if you're not following these teams, then what are you doing?
Right.
Like,
Right.
If you care at all about it, again, if you're not into it, that's fine. But if you're care about basketball, right now this is as good as it gets in a long, long time for North Dakota State.
That is true. Well, yeah, if you're a Bison fan,
this has not happened in the D1 era. The Bison women have been irrelevant up until the last couple of years in the Division I era.
Right.
Okay. The Bison men had 5 trips to the NCAA tournament, so they've had great amount of success.
Yep.
But not together. This has never happened before.
Right.
That's why. Embrace this next month. I'm gonna, because it's going to be wild to see what happens.
And in the world of college athletics, you never know how these things are, if they're going to come around again.
Correct.
It might be another once in a blue moon. It may be next year. We'll see.
Yeah.
But go and support them while you can.
I'm
There's
just
no doubt.
interested to see, NDSU still has to play at UND. That's going to be really hard. UND's game tonight at St. Thomas is
That'll be a fun one.
really
That'll be a fun
interesting
one.
there. Because St. Thomas has got a 28-game home win streak. That goes back to the old place that they played at. You ever go there? Shenecker Arena?
No, I haven't been to Shenecker. I haven't been to their new one either. I don't think I've ever been on campus at St. Thomas. So,
the old arena down, that was something else. Because they still have to go to St. Thomas, and they still have to go to South Dakota State, talking about the Bison men. Those are 3 really tough games they still have to play.
Yeah, absolutely. I should correct myself. I've been to their hockey rink before they got this new one, but that wasn't on campus. That was at St. Thomas Academy, so that was a little different. But yes, the stretch coming up is pretty big for men's
talking with
basketball.
a few of the Bison women's parents, they told me that it's a hockey arena with basketball there. The new arena.
I feel like that's Baxter Arena as well in Omaha. That's a similar field. That still looks really cool, what they have down at St. Thomas.
That they told me that it was really cold.
Was it?
The ice is still underneath it. You put
it's one of those.
The floorboards over top of it. And it still
bring a blanket. You'll be fine. Players are running it off.
Seems to be working for St. Thomas right now because they are rolling roughshod. Last thing before we go. To see what Cole Payton's doing. You surprised at all over the last couple of days in Alabama?
Surprised? No, not necessarily. I mean, those throws that he's making in the clips that you've been showing are the throws that we've been seeing for a while. It seems like if he wasn't long and loopy on his delivery and left-handed, he'd be the number 1 overall pick, according to ESPN. They really love what he's doing. It's been fun to watch. He's helping us stock. There's no doubt.
Well, and the crazy part, you mentioned it, you got a ESPN alert and you saw his face on there,
I'm sitting there at home, and all of a sudden, NDSU quarterback Cole Payton. I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty impressive. So, okay. And then I watched a little bit of his practice yesterday. He looked good. Compared to the other quarterbacks, I think he's setting himself apart here a little bit.
Today is another big day there. Good stuff as always, man. We'll see you tonight with clipboard in tow at the Shield Center.
It'll be ready to roll. Ready to roll.
Sam Goetzinger, our tic-tac-toe champion, joining us each and every Thursday.
Co-champion. Let's say that.
Co-champion with Tony. You guys split it. We'll break. We come back. Jory Collins will join us, North Dakota State women's basketball head coach. Get ready for the game tonight with the Bison and the Pioneers. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns after this. Welcome back, everybody. Thursday morning show rolls on. Final half hour here. Get set for a busy Thursday. We've got hoops coming up here tonight on WDAY Extra. Second of 3 consecutive home games for the North Dakota State women's basketball team. The Bison will welcome the Denver Pioneers for the final time. Denver is leaving the Summit League after this season for the West Coast Conference. Bison beat Denver to start league play back in January. Now we're doing the loop around as Jory Collins joins us each and every Thursday at 10:35. His appearances are brought to us by Northwestern Mutual as the Bison take a 16-game win streak into tonight. It's great to see you as always. I want to go off something we were talking yesterday. We're up at the Shack for some media availability about the interest level in this team. And you shared a story, and I apologize, I wanted you to share it again about this offseason, about the interest level surrounding this team and how it's built now over how this season has gone.
Yeah, I think I was telling you, Dom, I just for whatever reason, I was telling my wife this like last spring and summer, and I'm a big cooker, so I go to the grocery store pretty regularly, and especially in the off season, and get my ingredients and come home and do stuff and all that stuff. And I had more people in the grocery store say, "Hey, Coach, really enjoyed watching your team this year. Love your team." And I probably had more of those kind of instances in the last 6 months before this season started than I did in the few years before that, Dom. So to me, I was like, man, I hope that's a sign of, interest coming and people recognizing, the hard work that our team's putting in.
Well, it certainly seemed it's on Saturday with a crowd of over 2,000 for the game with USD, and here tonight with Denver and then Oral Roberts coming up on Saturday. How did you feel like you handled last week? You had the Wednesday game, then came back and played Saturday. Obviously, won both games. How did you feel that you handled preparation-wise and how you played?
I thought it was good. I think, I talked about it last week. Obviously, coming off a monster road win against SDSU, I was a little nervous about turning right around really quickly and going to St. Thomas, who's a very dangerous team. You get there Tuesday night. We had a great meal at the Kraswinski's house, fed us the night before, but then you sit around in a hotel until 7 o'clock at night, on the Wednesday. And I thought we were ready to play against St. Thomas. I just didn't feel like we probably had all the juice, some emotional, a little letdown and some of that. And again, not being prepared. I thought we were prepared to play, just probably not our best effort in that game. Came home and obviously always grateful to get road wins. So that was a big one. Came back home, and then I thought we played actually really good against South Dakota on Saturday, especially I thought the defensive effort was locked in. So just I thought we handled coming off a big win as good as you could hope for.
I want to talk about that, about defensively, what you guys did, what Marissa Frost, what Jossie Schiller did against Molly Joyce, who had coming in. I think she scored 20 points for USD in 4 out of 5 games. What was the mindset or the message going into the game against USD?
Yeah, I think obviously, you felt like they were guard-oriented, at least scoring. I mean, Robles and Joyce are 2 leading scorers on the team and take the vast majority of shots. So, obviously lucky for us, 2 of our best on-ball defenders are Jossie and Riz. And, I think they take personal pride in that end of the floor as much as anything. And what makes them great is they're so competitive, Dom, but they're also good athletes. I mean, they're not that big. They're pretty elusive. They're hard to screen. They fight over screens. They play for their size. They play with great physicality, and walling up and guarding dribble drive. And then even when we switch them on to post players, they do a good job being physical and fronting. So they're just I think they're both just really good defenders because of the makeup of who they are. And on that particular day, I thought just did a really good job making it hard for both those players.
All right, so now it's Denver as you start the back half of league play. From your experience of doing this, what is different about the second go-around? What is there anything that noticeable that teams know you now? And obviously these teams know you the best, but what is anything noticeably different when you play a team a second time?
Yeah, I think there's always, you go back, you watch how they tried to attack you and play you the first time, you make your adjustments. I think some of that depends on how long in between were the games. Yeah. Sometimes it's 6 weeks between when you play somebody, and it could be totally different. Other times it's, a week, 10 days, and you kind of are who you are in those. I think we talked about it, their leading scorer didn't play last time we played them at 3rd place, and obviously is having a tremendous year. So that's a different dynamic that we have to prepare for. And we prepared for it last time. We didn't know she wasn't going to play until we walked out there. And so that'll be different today, going out. And obviously we're going to ask Marissa Frost to guard her a bunch again and take down that challenge and do the best she can with it.
Corin Watts, we're talking about 5'7" guard who you saw last year. How is her game? Has it changed or has this gotten better from last year to this year?
Well, I think, last year they had, several upperclassmen that were their leading scorers. She was more of a role player coming off the bench and, had some good games, shot the ball well for them last year in her role, but her role's completely changed this year. She's absolutely their go-to player. They run a lot of things for her. A lot of their set plays ends up with her, getting a flare, getting a middle ball screen. And if she gives it up, she's trying to get it back pretty quickly to get into another action. So, she's green lighted. It looks like to me. She's taking a lot of shots, but she's also playing really efficiently. So it's a good combo there, and just having a fantastic year.
I was visiting with Dave about this. I haven't got your thoughts on how each team is feeding off the other. The stat is out there. Sam just mentioned it. There are 4 teams in Division I basketball that have 15 or more wins in conference play combined. NDSU's there, Miami, Ohio, Duke, and Connecticut. How is the vibe work between both teams of feeding off one another?
I mean, it's great. I mean, Dave and I have become really good friends in our time here, and obviously rooting for each other a whole bunch. To be honest with you, that we don't see each other
Yeah.
that much. Like I mean, they're on the road when we're here. When we're on the road, they're here. We have some crossover practice times every once in a while earlier in the week, but it's wild. You wouldn't believe the difference in the schedules that we have. And I saw the guys kind of shout out to get some people in on Twitter yesterday, and I mean that's awesome. We appreciate that support. Same for them, and it's so much fun to watch them having the success that they're having. We're locked in every time we get done with one of our games. I mean, we got their game on the phones and on the bus and rooting for them. So it's been great winter season for basketball, and obviously we want that to continue.
All right, so this is a big week, obviously, with the game tonight. You've got your alumni day coming up on Saturday. Also, a big day for Claire Stern as well, with her foundation, which we were talking about. I don't know how many 20, 21-year-olds have launched a foundation, and we've talked plenty about, and we had Claire on, honestly, right after everything happened, and what I want to say early August or September, about what was going to go down. Describe how her role has changed, and seeing her on the bench, Jory, how that emotionally has gone for you over the last few months.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When she first got diagnosed and you find out, hey, your basketball career's over. Really, once you find out, hey, you're going to be okay. You're going to live a fairly normal life. You're going to have some restrictions. There's going to be some things that you can't do, but you're going to live. You're going to be able to go out and do all the things I think that you want to do. You take a deep breath with that and be like, okay, so now what's the disappointment really? My basketball career's over early. You kind of get cheated out of that opportunity for something that you've worked with. That's tough to deal with. But as I've told you, I mean, her outlook, her positivity, she just has a glowing personality of positivity, Dom. And so it's hard. You don't feel that bad for her because she's walking around with a smile on her face all the time. And, you're excited to be around her because she just brings that kind of positive energy to what we're doing. And I'm so glad that she's staying with us and being around and being part of our team. And, she's no different than anybody else when we're at practice or playing or things like that. So it's been really good.
I'm watching the video of the blindfold challenge. You ever try that in basketball with not being able to see?
And when you're supposed to see who's talking to, or like who's saying hi and all that stuff. We talked about doing that one time. I mean, I think I would nail it. I think I would have that pretty easily.
With the alumni coming back as well, this is always really neat for me to see players from past generations. How have they embrace you once you got the job? Describe that of you coming in and how big a deal this has become now.
I thought it was awesome. I mean, right off the bat, I remember at my press conference, like being announced, I think we had 3 people. I think Aaron Oneman was there. I think Jane Gust was there. Can't remember. I think there was a third one there. They didn't have to be there for that, Dom, and they're in the back and, just fully supportive of what we were trying to do and patient with us and understanding what the job was. And obviously, having Coach Ruley and Kelly Lehman in our athletic department still makes a big difference. I mean, those girls are connected for life, and the bonds that they made playing and competing and winning and being so successful. And anytime you can get them around our players and let them tell their stories and how much, being at NDSU and playing women's basketball here has impacted them, that's great for everybody.
And it's so few schools that have the kind of heritage and lineage and history that Bison women's basketball does. To tap into that with this year's team, that's got to be really special.
Yeah, I mean, we had dinner last night at Beth Maher's. Beth and Jared had us over, and,
nice.
and Lisa was there. Lisa Blue was there, and was a great player here as well. So, they're locked in on us. They're obviously enjoying the season that we're having, and our players can feel that from, their energy and excitement about what we're doing. That just feeds off each other.
I know you'll roll your eyes at me at this, but I have to ask you just how much you enjoy. I know you enjoy winning. That, hey, we're playing well. This team is together. If you step back and say, man, this come a long way from where we were 5-6 years ago to where we're at right now. Can you do that or no?
Oh, for sure. Dom. I tell you, and I've told some people this year, like, there's a lot of things wrong with college athletics right now that make the job can be really hard, really hard emotionally, really hard with adversity. And then you get a group like we have this year, and it's going well, and we're playing well. But that's not even like the most positive part about it. It's the relationship piece, how connected we are. I get up every morning, have my coffee, and I can't wait to get to work. And I say my thanks for this particular team. I know it's college athletics, and it may be completely different 3-6 months from now. But right now, it's great. And I'm trying to live in the moment. I'm encouraging our players to be in every moment, every practice, every game, and enjoy what they've, kind of put together this year.
That's well said. I got one last thing email in. Dom, can you ask Jory about the new player at the end of the bench for the Bison women? I'm assuming that's referring to Georgia, who came over and started. Give us the background on Georgia and starting early, much like Carrington Ass did last year.
Yeah. So Georgia visited us last year, like a year ago in January. We saw her play. She came over and played in some summer stuff, some AAU tournaments the previous summer before that. Obviously, saw some things there that we liked. She came on an official. We made her come in January when it was, super cold. Yeah. Like, hey, this is what it's going to be. And committed to us really shortly after. She had, I think, 10, 11 Division I offers of kind of across the country at varying schools. And coming in early, so going to redshirt this semester, a lot like Carrington did last year. She's 6'2", 6'3", super versatile kid, can really shoot it. Excited about her, and she's getting her feet wet, just getting into college practices and the physicality and the weight room and all those things. But it's a great head start for her too.
Well, she's missing out. It's like 130 degrees in Australia right now, right? So, I mean, it's a kind of
it is. Our
A to
guys
Z.
just got a guy. From Australia. I think he's a Serbian guy, but he's from Australia too. And he just got here and he was like, yeah, it was 110 Fahrenheit when I left like 3 days ago. And then he shows up here and it's minus 10. The degree difference was like 100 and something.
It is ends of the spectrum there. Great stuff as always, bud. Thanks for the time. We'll see you tonight, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Tom.
Jory Collins joins us each and every Thursday at 10:30. North Dakota State and Denver coming up tonight. You can see it live on WDAY Extra. Good stuff there. Team going for a 17th straight win tonight. All right, we'll take our final break. We'll come back. We'll get you ready for a big Thursday night. Talk about our guest lineup for tomorrow, including one special guest. That's coming up when we wrap up Hot Mic after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a Thursday morning. Tomorrow, Seattle Seahawks freshman, rookie left guard Gray Zabel will join the show tomorrow in anticipation of the Super Bowl. We'll have Gray on, former North Dakota State All-American left tackle. Looking forward to our conversation with Gray. That's coming up on the show tomorrow. We'll see if we can get maybe a pre-Super Bowl pick with my dad as well. That's coming up on Friday's show to wrap up the week. So looking forward to that. That'll be good stuff. I had a chance to visit with Gray earlier this week. Yeah, obviously, imagine things are going into DEFCON 5 mode around Seattle in anticipation of the game a week from Sunday. I'm hopeful we can get the Zabel parents. We've had Mark and Tana on before, friends of our show. That would be sensational as well. Maybe the Sundells, because we've had Karina and Bob on the show as well. So we'll work on that for next week in anticipation of the game. That's the neat part about it. Obviously, it's huge for the direct people involved, but to me, it's everybody that's associated with it. Clearly, the mom and dad, family, that's beyond that. We're also working to hopefully visit with Jet Zabel, Gray's youngest brother, who's currently on the Bison football team. All that part of our Super Bowl week of coverage coming up next week. So looking forward to that. That'll be on the show tomorrow. We'll also have a full recap of the Bison women's game with Denver, that UND matchup with St. Thomas. We'll look forward to that. That'll be coming up on the show tomorrow. I'm anticipating as well much more from the Senior Bowl and Cole Payton's final day. So that'll be on tomorrow's show to already wrap up what has been a lightning quick week I mentioned the Olympic stuff off the top. We're a week away from that getting going. Fox today put out its broadcast schedule for the World Cup. That's the next monster event that happens after the Olympic Games. Wrap up this summer, of course, in the United States and Canada and Mexico. Fox is going to televise 70 matches. And how about this? You thought pregame shows are long. How about this? Every U.S. men's national team group stage match airs on Fox with expanded coverage featuring a special 3-hour pregame show for their first match against Paraguay on June the 12th. 3-hour pregame. Yowza. Let's do some what to watch before we get out of here. 3 hours. My word. All right, here we go. We got Denver NDSU coming up tonight. Join us 7 o'clock. Myself, Sam, and Amy Rulli on the call on WDAY Extra. Also going on tonight, we mentioned the Wolves on the second end of their back-to-back against the Thunder. 8:30 tonight against the Thunder on Amazon Prime. The Wild, final home game for the Olympic break against the Flames at 7 on FanDuel Sports North. And coming up right after we're done, the Farmers Insurance Open. 11 a.m. on ESPN from Torrey Pines. Tom Hoagie tees off in a few minutes. We'll keep you up to date on the Fargo native coming up as well. Our thanks to Hunter Pinke, to Sam Goetzinger, and to Jory Collins. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.